Okay, sir. Sir, kindly allow us for 2 minutes, sir. Some other delegates are joining. We'll be starting soon, sir, within 2 minutes.
Sure. I am online and I'm waiting for the other delegates to participate. Please carry on. Mr. Chakravarti, just give me a moment.
Yes, sir.
Just give me a moment.
Yes, sir. May I start, sir?
Yeah, sure. Please carry on.
Good evening to all of you. On behalf of Ajanta Pharma Limited, I welcome all the respected delegates who are present on this Zoom platform for today for attending our ERTM. Respected doctors, respected delegates, today it is our pleasure and honor to have Dr. Indranil De for our speaker for today's ERTM. Dr. Indranil De, an eminent consultant diabetologist based at Karimganj, Assam. Sir is practicing for last 20 years at Karimganj, and sir is having a vast experience in dealing with all sorts of patients, and for all the other platforms, sir has given beautiful speech and wonderful insights about all the products. Today, we have welcomed sir and we have requested sir to deliver a speech on Azilnidipine, a novel CCB. Sir, we welcome you on board for delivering a speech for today's program. Thanks for being the speaker for today's program, sir. Sir, before starting, I would like to request, sir, Mr. Gautam De, President Lions Club Frontline. It is our honor to have sir on today's program, and we are very much obliged that sir has kept our request for being present in our today's ERTM. I would like to request Mr. Gautam De to deliver some speech before starting the session. Sir, over to you.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay, thank you. Respected presiding officer, respected officials of Ajanta Pharma Limited, Salesta Division, respected District Governor Rajkumar Ringianeji, Lions Club International 322G, respected IRC Lion Gautam Debrai, respected Lion Chairman, Region Chairman Jagdish Banik, respected Zone Chairman Lion Vinod Gangji, all club presidents, and respected our club member and his keynote speaker, Lion Indranil De, and distinguished audience. Today, I am very excited to organize as a co-associate with Ajanta Pharma Limited Salesta Division, a digital dialogue on the online platform as health awareness campaign. Thanks, Ajanta Pharmaceuticals Limited, Salesta Division, at the on the online platform for giving us the opportunity to the Lions Club of Karimganj Frontline. Wish every success for this digital dialogue and best of luck to our respected club member, Lion Indrani Dey sir, as a keynote speaker. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, as we all know that we have with our district governor, Lion Rajkumar Ringania ji. Ringania ji, are you there? I think he's still not there. Okay.
Sir, sir's name is not featuring. I think sir's there is some network problem, sir.
Okay. Okay. If he comes, then last of this program, we'll invite Ringania ji to say his few words. Thank
Sure,
you.
sir. Sure, sir.
Over
Sure,
to
sir.
you. Okay.
Sure, sir. Sir, thank you very much for giving an insight to the program, sir. Thanks for coming, sir. And now I will hand over the session to Dr. Indranil Dey. Sir, it's over to you. Kindly start the session, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Ajanta Pharma Solesta Division, for providing me an opportunity to speak on a medication regarding hypertension and its various aspects. A good evening and warm welcome to all the delegates, my partners, Ajanta Pharma Limited, my respected doctor fraternity. Hope this will be an online session for the last time of the year. Today is 30th of December. Probably we'll be meeting online today, and after that we'll be continuing our sessions for the next beautiful year. So with everybody's permission, I would like to proceed with my talks and discussion regarding the global criminal, what is called hypertension. We know globally an estimated 26% of the world's population, that is 972 million people, has hypertension, and the prevalence is expected to increase to 29% from 26% by 2025, driven largely by increases in economically developing nations. The high prevalence of hypertension exacts a tremendous public health burden. As a primary contributor to heart disease and stroke, the first and third leading causes of worldwide death, respectively, high blood pressure was the top modifiable risk factor for disability. Regarding the scenario in Asian countries, recently, the prevalence of hypertension in low to middle income countries has been estimated to exceed that in high income countries. Socioeconomic position, generally measured using indicators such as education, income, and occupation, is strongly associated with presence of hypertension in high income countries, with individuals of higher socioeconomic position less likely to have hypertension than those of lower socioeconomic position. The association between socioeconomic position and hypertension in high-income countries may be attributable to a greater awareness of hypertension and associated risk factors in those with high socioeconomic position and greater access and adherence to healthcare. However, in low to middle income countries, there is some evidence that higher socio-economic position may be associated with greater risk of hypertension, although findings have been inconsistent. The association between elevated socio-economic position, and poor health in these settings may be driven by changes in behavior, such as excessive consumption of alcohol or ethanol, whatever you say, excessive calorie intake, or the greater likelihood of sedentary employment in higher socio-economic position brackets. Now, today we are going to talk about a novel calcium channel blocker, a drug introduced for the modern management of hypertension. We call this drug as azilnidipine, as it is its pharmacological name. Now the overview. Hypertension epidemiology, which is very important. We are going to talk few important points of azilnidipine to enlighten the drug profile, cardiac perspective, nephro perspective, diabetic perspective, and salient features. Now we see a beautiful diagram depicting hypertension worldwide. In the left part of the diagram, we see worldwide 1 in 3 adults has high blood pressure, a condition that leads to heart attack and stroke. On the right side, everyone can take 5 concrete steps to help prevent high blood pressure. Number 1, healthy diet. Number 2, increase in physical activity in a programmed manner. We need to avoid tobacco and obviously alcohol also. And what is most important coming up these days, that is managing stress in healthy ways. Now, hypertension is a silent killer. What are the factors? Main factors that contribute to the development of high blood pressure and its complications. Number 1 is social determinant and drivers. This is a platform. Now, what are the social determinants and drivers platform? These are globalization, urbanization, aging, income, education, and housing. What are the behavioral risk factors? These are unhealthy diet, tobacco use, physical inactivity, and obviously use of ethanol or alcohol. What are the metabolic risk factor platforms? These are high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, raised blood lipids. All these lead to cardiovascular diseases like heart attack, stroke, heart failure, and obviously kidney disease. Now there are guidelines which has been set universally to manage the blood pressure, to harness the blood pressure. There are 2 houses we have seen, that is, first of all, American College of Cardiology and American Hypertension Association, whatever it may be. The new guidelines state that normal systolic blood pressure is less than 120 and normal diastolic blood pressure is less than 80 millimeter of mercury. It's considered elevated when blood pressure in the systolic range goes from 120 to 129 and less than 80 in diastolic. See, normal and elevated. Next, it comes hypertension. There are 2 stages of hypertension. We grade it as follows. Stage 1, when the systolic blood pressure ranges from 130 to 139 and diastolic ranges from 80 to 89. And regarding stage 2, when the systolic blood pressure is more than or equal to 140 millimeter of mercury and diastolic blood pressure is more than or equal to 90 millimeter of mercury. New goals for BP levels. Whatever be the hypertension level, BP goal is the same. Like European Society of Cardiology and European Society of Hypertension states that hypertension is more than 140 over 90 millimeter of mercury, whereas American College of Cardiology and the related schools say that hypertension is more than 130/80, but whatever it may be, BP goal should be less than 130/80. It should be remembered with very, very sincerity. Indian Guideline of Hypertension 2019, the last year only. As we are talking of a novel calcium channel blocker, we see the red boxed area. Calcium channel blockers definite indications. I'll go very slowly and steadily. What are the definite indications for using the calcium channel blocker? There are various aspects. Number one, metabolic syndrome. Number two, angina or chest pain, whatever you say. Elderly people, systolic hypertension, and diabetes. Now see, there are treatment strategies which differ when hypertension is associated with coronary artery disease and when hypertension is associated with chronic kidney disease. The drug combination or the medications combination differs. For the group of persons suffering from hypertension and coronary artery disease, we can have dual combination. Now, what are the drugs which you can select for dual combination? Number one, just for the purpose of naming, I'm telling ACE inhibitors or ARBs, that is one, plus beta blockers or calcium channel blockers, or calcium channel blockers plus diuretics, or beta blockers plus diuretic. Now, the CCB is kept in the red box. Comment is that we need to consider monotherapy. Monotherapy means medication which is in a single form or in a single pill in low risk grade 1 hypertension or in very old, like more than 80 years of age or frailer patients. That is a geriatric age group. Now regarding step 2 in management of hypertension and coronary artery disease, we can use triple combination of the above. We need to consider initiating therapy in such a case when systolic blood pressure is more than 130 millimeter of mercury in these very high risk patients with established cardiovascular disease, remember. And step 3 regarding resistant hypertension, which is not controlled by many things, many drugs we find in clinical practice. The physicians need to add spironolactone in the strength in between 25 to 50 milligram once daily, or an other diuretic drug or an alpha blocker or beta blocker. In case of resistant hypertension, we need to consider referral to a specialist center for further disease-based investigation. Now, what is the treatment strategy for hypertension and chronic kidney disease? As because hypertension leads to the cascade of kidney disorder, which leads to chronic kidney disease. Now, initial therapy may be done with dual combination like ACE inhibitors or ARBs plus calcium channel blocker. See, the role of calcium channel blocker is coming, plus calcium channel blocker or ACE inhibitors or ARBs plus diuretic or loop diuretic. Then for step 2, triple drug combination may be preferred. And for step 3, resistant hypertension, as I have already said, there is a note regarding the beta blocker drug used in hypertension. Consider beta blocker at any treatment step when there is specific indication for their use. For example, heart failure, angina pectoris, post myocardial infarction, atrial fibrillation, or younger women with or planning pregnancy. So these are the two separate treatment strategies. As we are discussing the novel drug ezellnidipine, what are the characteristics of the CCB ezellnidipine? We'll highlight for ezellnidipine. See, there are other calcium channel blockers in this graph also, in this diagram also. These are nifedipine, amlodipine, cilnidipine, ifosfamide, and last comes ezellnidipine, which has got blocking activity in L-type and T-type receptors. So what does it do when there is action on the L and T-type receptors? In the heart, it reduces contractility. It in the L for the L-type, and for the T-type, it reduces heart rate. In sympathetic nervous system, L-type causes increase in pulse pressure, which is again neutralized by the T-type, reduction in the pulse rate. So this is neutralized. In the kidneys, L-type causes increase in the glomerular pressure, and the T-type causes decrease in the glomerular pressure, just nullifying the effect. In the adrenal gland, it causes aldosterone secretion, which may lead to cascade of hypertension. So we can see in this beautiful diagram the chemical structure of the newer molecule for management of hypertension, that is ezellnidipine. This is a chemical structure. See the mechanism of action. We can just briefly go through it just for our knowledge. Ezellnidipine block T-type calcium channel present on zona glomerulosa of the kidneys. It also inhibits aldosterone synthesis and release. Now on the heart, ezellnidipine acts on the sinoatrial node and inhibits T-type calcium channel activation, and thereby prolonging the late phase 4 depolarization, which is beneficial for the activity of the heart. Again, a beautiful diagram depicting the mechanism of action of ezellnidipine, the novel CCB, on glomerulus, the building unit of kidneys. See, ezellnidipine dilates afferent and efferent arterioles, reduces intraglomerular pressure, and thereby these two aspects offers renoprotective or kidney protective effect, which is very much required in these days of hypertension and its following cascades. Dosage and indications of ezellnidipine, which has been approved by the Drug Controller General of India, is of 16 milligram strength for the treatment of essential hypertension. What are its use in specific population? These are severe renal impairment, severe hepatic or liver impairment. In pediatric use, of course, its efficacy has not yet been established. Studies on. In the elderly people, you use low dose, that is 8 milligram once daily, which is recommended. And in the pregnancy cases and in the nursing mothers who have got hypertension, this drug is not recommended. There are few side effects which are common to most of the drugs. We need not worry about that. So effects proven in preclinical studies. These are number one, negative chronotropic effect, which improves the health of the heart. It inhibits aldosterone synthesis and secretion, which is again beneficial to reduce the hypertension, dilates the efferent arterioles of the kidneys, and what more, it preserves insulin signaling and glucose uptake, which is a facet which improves the diabetic state in a person. There are clinical evidences collected from the statistical data that azilnidipine protects the kidney function. We are going for the headline. Azilnidipine reduces urinary protein excretion and urinary liver type fatty acid binding protein in patients with hypertensive chronic kidney disease. It reduces the burden of the kidney disease on long-term and tailored use. There is a beautiful bar diagram and a line diagram depicting the effect of azilnidipine and amlodipine on blood pressure. We see in the right side amlodipine depicted by the blue line increases the heart rate, whereas azilnidipine reduces the heart rate. So conclusion is both drugs exhibit similar effect on systolic and diastolic blood pressure, whereas azilnidipine additionally exhibits reduction in the heart rate, which is also beneficial from the cardiovascular point of view. These are all beneficial effects which has been showered upon by azilnidipine on the kidney functions and its various facets. Like one more bar diagram shows the effect of azilnidipine and amlodipine on urinary protein excretion. When you see the bar diagram on the left side, which is depicted by azilnidipine with 3 bars, at the baseline, we see there is 1.5%. After 3 months, it's 0.9%. And after a period of 6 months of total, it is 0.8%. The height of the bar is decreasing. Whereas in case of amlodipine, the older drug, it doesn't show any significant effect. So the conclusion is this drug offers significant reduction in urinary protein excretion, but amlodipine was ineffective in reducing urinary protein excretion. So regarding the beneficial effects of azilnidipine on kidney function can be summarized as follows. Baseline proteinuria was correlated with baseline urinary L-FABP levels. What azilnidipine did, it ameliorated markers of glomerular and tubule interstitial injury in hypertensive patients with CKD, which is very, very important. Now, azilnidipine, but not amlodipine. The amlodipine we see in the clinical practice, many people are writing amlodipine. But after being aware of the benefits of azilnidipine in kidney function, obviously people will prefer this drug for betterment of life and a reduction of mortality rate. See, amlodipine, azilnidipine, but not amlodipine has potent antioxidant effect. It provides additive clinical benefit in addition to long-lasting antihypertensive action. A very beautiful drug. I prefer it. Now, one more facet. Many people with hypertension or not, especially with hypertension, are suffering from uric acid metabolism disorders like hyperurigemia. We see that many people are suffering from, they come to my clinic and say that, okay, sir, I am suffering from high uric acid levels. My heels are paining when I get up from the bed. After some time, when I walk, the pain goes away, but it restarts after some time. There are multiple joint pains. So we need to know the effect of azilnidipine on uric acid metabolism in patients with essential hypertension. A study was done. 72 number of patients were involved in the study with azilnidipine 8 or 16 milligram. In 22 cases out of the 72 patients, a different CCB was switched to azilnidipine. BP measured and biochemical parameters of blood and urine were evaluated before and 2 to 3 months after the administration. So we find such data. So ultimate conclusion is that ezellnidipine reduces uric acid levels more in patients with high serum urate levels. This is also very important in clinical practice and knowledge of the patients whatsoever. Ezellnidipine is a promising antihypertensive agent for treating hypertensive patients with hyperuricemia. So now let's go to ezellnidipine's diabetic perspective. What does it do? What beneficial effects it does in a person who is suffering from diabetes? There is a study you should note down, ezellnidipine and amlodipine comparing on glucose tolerance and endothelial function. The trial was named as AGENT trial. 17 number of patients who are non-diabetic patients with essential hypertension, controlled blood pressure with amlodipine 5 milligram per day were enrolled. Either ezellnidipine 16 milligram per day or amlodipine 5 milligram per day was administered in a crossover design for 12 weeks. At baseline and the end of each CCB therapy, OGTT, that is oral glucose tolerance test, was performed, which is depicted by the next diagram. Let's go to the conclusion. Ezellnidipine treatment have beneficial effects against glucose intolerance, insulin sensitivity, inflammatory state in non-diabetic patients with hypertension. So this is a very important aspect of ezellnidipine to control patients who are established type 2 diabetes mellitus patients. Now there is a BOAT2 study. It depicts the efficacy in urinary albumin excretion. I'm mentioning these technical terms. If we find uh, some insights into these aspects, we can really understand in a very short period of time. The BOAT2 study says that amlodipine offered significant reduction in urinary albumin excretion whose p-value is less than 0.05, which is significant, but amlodipine was not significant. So when there is urinary albumin excretion, it indicates kidney disorders, but it reduces. So urinary albumin excretion in ezellnidipine group was significantly lowered compared to amlodipine group. There is one more aspect regarding the heart attached to this topic or few lines. BOAT2 study has got another aspect, that is carotid intima media thickness and inflammatory markers. The carotid arteries intima media thickness much matters in a case of hypertension and its further cascades. Now, ezellnidipine offered significant reduction in the maximum intima media thickness, MCP1, and tumor necrosis factor alpha compared to amlodipine, which is a very, very beneficial effect. Number two, ezellnidipine, but not amlodipine, delayed the progression of urinary albumin excretion and carotid atherosclerosis. We see carotid atherosclerosis may lead to coronary artery blockage, which may further lead to eventful episodes. There is another aspect like changes in left ventricular relaxation after azanlidipine treatment in hypertensive patients with diabetes. This is a sub-analysis of prospective single or multi-center study. So it has also got beneficial effect on left ventricular relaxation, which is also very important for persons with heart disease. We see in the blue box, left ventricle of the heart relaxation was more impaired in hypertensive patients with diabetes than in those without diabetes, which ultimately upsets the whole cardiovascular system. So what does azanlidipine do? Azanlidipine improved left ventricular relaxation in both groups to the same degree. There is one more significant line mentioned, that is azanlidipine decreased plasma aldosterone and plasminogen activator inhibitor type 1 levels in hypertensive patients with type 2 diabetes mellitus, which is a beneficial effect of azanlidipine in persons with hypertension coexisting with type 2 diabetes mellitus. Now, as an antihypertensive drug, mainly, azanlidipine is also performing other beneficial effects in the persons with comorbidities. We see that antihypertensive azanlidipine preserves insulin signaling. Preservation of insulin signaling is very important to maintain the blood sugar homeostasis in the body and glucose uptake against oxidative stress in 3T3L1 adipocytes. See one more data, that is the in vitro data. Azanlidipine preserves insulin signaling against oxidative stress. Azanlidipine can be useful to preserve insulin signaling by suppressing oxidative stress and reduction in blood pressure in subjects with obesity and type 2 diabetes. In between, I would like to say that oxidative stress or free radicals, which are responsible for oxidative stress, are much more important in causing the pathological cascade of hypertension and diabetes. So obviously, azanlidipine is doing the beneficial effects. What are the cardiac perspectives of azanlidipine? We see there are few beautiful data I'm going to discuss right now. Sustained blood pressure lowering effect of azanlidipine guided by self-measured morning and evening home blood pressure. This is subgroup analysis of the at-home study. Now, the at-home study was conducted in Japan. The objective of the study was to evaluate the sustained blood pressure lowering effect of azanlidipine using mean morning and evening systolic blood pressure and morning systolic BP minus evening systolic blood pressure. Efficacy analysis involved n number of patients up to 4,852 and safety analysis for n number of patients was 5,265. These are the two beautiful graphs which shows the dark circle is the morning systolic blood pressure. I'm talking of the left one slide. And the triangular black box or a triangular black triangle, it indicates evening systolic blood pressure. So in the first two cards, we see that there is gradual reduction, and the blank circle depicting the morning diastolic blood pressure and the blank triangle depicting the evening diastolic blood pressure, all are in the reducing trend. On the right side of the diagram, we see the pulse rate. Changes in the morning and evening home pulse rate after azithromycin administration or treatment. The morning pulse rate is depicted by the black circle and the evening pulse rate is depicted by the black triangle. Still we see there is a decreasing trend, which is beneficial. Now this is also important, inhibitory effects of azithromycin tablets on morning hypertension. In my clinical practice, I have found that the early morning rise of blood pressure is very detrimental to the heart, which in the early hours of the morning may lead to myocardial infarction or heart attack, whatever we say. Now in the diagram, which is on the right side, it depicts the change in blood pressure, and on the right side, the diagram depicts the changes in the heart rate. We see that there is gradual decrease in the change in blood pressure and change in the heart rate. So conclusion of this study is that azithromycin offered significant reduction in morning blood pressure and heart rate within 4 weeks, which obviously reduces the mortality and morbidity of the persons who have higher tendency to develop cardiac risk in the early morning hours. Now there is one more study. I hope you will listen patiently. Azithromycin and amlodipine, as both of them are calcium channel blockers. So azithromycin as a new drug would definitely have some benefits regarding this. A comparison of these, of their pharmacokinetics and effects on ABPM. To compare the effects of azithromycin and amlodipine on 24-hour blood pressure, it is a randomized double-blind study in hypertensive patients. Azithromycin 16 milligram was used for 23 patients, or amlodipine 5 milligram was used for the same subset of patients, was administered once daily for 6 weeks. Both drugs offer 24-hour BP reduction and have similar antihypertensive effect. Azithromycin decreased pulse rate, as has been depicted by the previous diagram. Amlodipine significantly increased pulse rate, which is detrimental. So what are the salient features? Azithromycin offers double-digit blood pressure control. It offers 24-hour smooth blood pressure control, including morning surge, which is very risky, does not cause reflex tachycardia, shown by the reduction in the heart rate. Superior sympathetic nerve activity reduction compared to amlodipine. That is a specific nomenclature being given to this CCB, which is called sympathomodulating calcium channel blocker. Again, in the kidneys, it reduces proteinuria, reduces glomerular hypertension, which, if not controlled in time, may lead to chronic kidney disease. Delays progression of the urinary albumin excretion and improves left ventricular relaxation in diabetes mellitus with hypertension. It exhibits antioxidant property, improves endothelial function and arterial stiffness. Salient features, we need to discuss something. Reduction in the B-type natriuretic peptide can be beneficial in improving prognosis of heart failure patients. It preserves insulin signaling and glucose uptake in hypertensive patients with insulin resistance. In the chronic stage of ischemic stroke, Azelaprine could safely decrease systemic blood pressure without decreasing CBF. It reduces serum uric acid levels in hypertensive patients with hyperuricemia. It exhibits cardioprotection, neuroprotection, renal protection, and there are lesser chances of fatal edema. And this is a well-tolerated drug. Thank you. Over to Kinkar Chakrabarti.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a wonderful presentation. We are very much obliged, sir, that today you are speaker for this program, sir. You have given your clinical experiences also. And thank you very much, sir, for your valuable suggestions and your thinking about this drug, sir. So with this, we would like to conclude the session. But sir, before conclusion of the session, I would like to request one renowned personality, that is the District Governor of Lions Club International, Mr. Rajkumar Ringania, sir, to kindly deliver his speech. Sir, if you are available, sir, kindly say some words, sir. We are requesting you.
I think he is not available.
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much.
I would like to
On behalf
thank
of
all
him-
the delegates.
Oh.
Sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir. Please, sir.
On behalf of Rajkumar Ringania ji, I thank all of you. Thank you very much. It was very nice and very informative session. Thank you. Thank you.
So I would like to
so
thank
much.
all the
Thank you,
delegates.
everybody, and hope everybody will be fine for the next year. Will be hale and hearty. We'll draw some information from this discussion for betterment of their physique and mental state. I hope everybody will be well since next year. Thank you so much. I conclude my speech. Thank you, President, Lions Club Frontline, Mr. Gautam De, for taking so much initiative to create an atmosphere of celebration in this program. And I also thank Rajkumar Ringania sir for his kind patronage. And I thank all my delegates who have attended. Thank you so much, and hoping to continue such online informative programs in the future also. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.